Goldman Sachs returns $3.9 billion in 1MDB settlement to Malaysia. Social media users are free to use existing platforms. Good afternoon, I'm Jessica Lee. Welcome to Updates at Noon. The Finance Ministry announced that a settlement amounting to a whopping $3.9 billion or 16.6 billion ringgit has been agreed with Goldman Sachs for its involvement in the arrangement of 3 bonds for One Malaysia Development Berhad or 1MDB. In a statement released, the ministry said that in total, including the assets and monies already received from the US Department of Justice, the amount of recovered funds to be repatriated now stands at $4.5 billion or 19.1 billion ringgit. The settlement includes a cash payment of $2.5 billion and a guarantee of a full recovery value of at least $1.4 billion in assets that are traceable to the diverted proceeds from the 3 bond transactions. The statement pointed out how the settlement with Goldman Sachs would not affect the country's claims against fugitive financier Loh Teck Jo or Jolo and other parties related to the 1MDB scandal. The ministry added that the settlement also represents acknowledgement on the part of Goldman Sachs for the misconduct of 2 of its former employees, Tim Lesner and Roger Ng, who were involved in the financial scandal. Finance Minister Tengku Datuk Seri Zafrul Tengku Abdul Aziz said the agreed settlement amount was significantly higher than the $1.7 billion that was previously offered to Malaysia in 2019. He added that he was glad the case was resolved without initiating any lengthy and costly legal process, adding both parties agreeing to a settlement also meant the return of the monies can be expedited and would not be held up by legal formalities. He also said that this settlement represents assets that rightfully belong to the Malaysian people. As part of the settlement, Goldman Sachs had also agreed to assist the government by appointing an asset recovery specialist aimed at recovering assets currently outside Malaysia, with them bearing all the costs. Meanwhile, the Prime Minister Tan Sri Muhyiddin Yassin welcomed the announcement of the settlement worth $3.9 billion agreed between the Malaysian government and Goldman Sachs. Now, in a statement release, he said the government remains committed to continue efforts to recover assets related to 1MDB. According to Tan Sri Muhyiddin, this is a success in the efforts to restore the rights and assets of the people of Malaysia. The Premier also expressed his appreciation to the Finance Ministry, the Attorney General's Chambers, the Securities Commission Malaysia, the Malaysian Anti-Corruption Commission, the National Anti-Financial Crime Centre, and the negotiating team for their efforts to obtain the settlement. Malaysian Immigration Department has apprehended the Bangladeshi national Muhammad Raihan Kabir at 5:45 p.m. yesterday. Its Director General, Datuk Khairul Zaimi Daud, in a statement said that the arrest was made after 2 weeks of investigation and surveillance. Elaborating further, Datuk Khairul said Raihan will be deported and banned from entering Malaysia for life. The 25-year-old has been hunted by the Immigration Department following his appearance in a documentary produced by the international media agency Al Jazeera. In the documentary, Raihan alleged that Malaysia has been mistreating migrant workers during the movement control order. Previously, on the 7th of July, the Immigration Department had circulated a notice seeking public information on the ban to be investigated under the Immigrations Act 1959-1963. In its notice, the Immigration Department provided the name of the 25-year-old man, his passport number, and his last known address in Kuala Lumpur, urging the public to contact the department with any information they could provide to assist in the investigations. In order to uphold the freedom of media and individual social media users, the government has decided that Malaysians do not need a FINAS license to post their videos on social media. Communications and Multimedia Minister Datuk Saifuddin Abdullah said social media users are free to use the platform to express their creativity. Datuk Saifuddin said the government stands firm in supporting the media freedom and individual rights in social media. He said the Perikatan Nasional or PN government has never used and has no intention to use the FINAS Act to restrict an individual's personal liberty in social media. Nevertheless, he said the government will amend the FINAS Act 10981 or Act 244 by taking into consideration the current situation. He said his ministry will also amend other acts under its purview in order to remain relevant with the current situation, as announced on the 20th of June. Previously, during the Dewan Rakyat sitting, Datuk Saifuddin, who is Indra Mahkota MP, said that all film producers must apply for the film production license and the filming authentication certificate or SPP before filming any content for online platforms or traditional channels. He said license holders were also required to notify FINAS at least 7 days before filming. However, in a statement later, the minister explained that some reports on his answer regarding the need of FINAS license for filming were inaccurate. Malaysia is considering to implement travel bubbles with green status regions in an effort to spur economic growth in the wake of the COVID-19 outbreak. Tourism, Arts and Culture Minister Datuk Sri Nancy Shukri said her ministry is looking at certain green zones instead of waiting for a country to be declared totally free of COVID-19. Datuk Sri Nancy explained that the ministry is no longer looking at the country as a whole, but more into certain destinations, as she cited Langkawi in Malaysia and Bali in Indonesia as examples as a green zone region.
Ianya tidak semudah itu ya, sebab kita akan assess dulu, menilai dulu. Yang menilainya adalah setelah kita berbincang dengan seperti yang saya nyatakan yang telah kita telah mengadakan akan mengadakan perbincangan pada hari Senin ini, pegawai-pegawai lah bukan menteri ya, untuk mengenal pasti mana negara-negara yang kita rasa antaranya wilayah-wilayahnya boleh kita buka. Itu tidak akan semudah itu kalau dia ada red zone akan dibuka terus untuk datang kemari, atau mereka juga akan menjadi lebih cautious juga, berhati-hati. Semua pihak kita berhati-hati, jadi maka perbincangan ini perlu diteliti.
Datuk Sri Nancy said the proposed regions that Malaysia would be looking at include those in Australia, Brunei, China, Japan, New Zealand, South Korea, Singapore, Thailand, Cambodia and Vietnam. The minister said the idea of having travel bubbles with green status regions was based on the potential of the market to contribute to overall economic growth. However, she said its implementation was subject to bilateral discussions with paramount consideration given to aspects of health, immigration, data tracking and continuous monitoring by the relevant agencies of the countries concerned. The Ministry of Women, Family and Community Development will be reviewing the welfare assistance rate under the Welfare Department. Its Minister, Datuk Sri Rina Muhammad Harun, said this is to help those in need, considering the rate has not been updated since 2 years ago.
Di pihak kementerian kita pun masih lagi melihat ya cadangan ini, sebab saya terima banyak juga pandangan dan permintaan supaya elok ini dapat dipertingkatkan, kerana mereka ini juga adalah mereka yang terjejas. Contohnya sakit kronik kalau dia dapat dalam RM350 sebulan ya, dengan nak beli susu harganya yang lebih mahal dan sebagainya. Di pihak kementerian kita sedang mengkaji tentang perkara ini.
Previously, the government had increased the allowance rate by 50 ringgit. So far, there are 500,000 recipients of the welfare assistance scheme, and most of them consist of people with disabilities, senior citizens with chronic diseases, and others. The proposal to amend the Sharia Courts or Criminal Jurisdiction Act 1965 or Act 355 will be tabled in the Parliament according to the Federal Constitution and Law. Deputy Minister in the Prime Minister's Department, Ahmad Marzuq Syari, said the government is also open for any suggestion or recommendation related to the drafting of the bill.
Saya telah mempengerusikan jawatankuasa semakan perundangan syariah JAKIM, saya yang mempengerusikan sendiri. Ada bukan saja 355, ada 17 undang-undang yang kita semak untuk meneliti soal teknikal dan juga kesesuaian masa untuk kita bawa kepada proses seterusnya. Perlu dipahami bahawa proses untuk membawa sesebuah undang-undang terutama yang melibatkan pindaan ataupun undang-undang baru ke Parlimen yang melibatkan bidang kuasa agama ini perlu mendapat melalui proses dan tertib tertentu.
The two men believed to be drug mules were arrested at the Kuala Lumpur International Airport, or KLIA-2, on Wednesday prior to their departure to Miri, Sarawak, for carrying shabu, which were hidden in Chinese tea packets. KLIA Police Chief ACP Zulkifli Adam Shah said the first suspect, aged 22, was arrested near the departure area at 3:45 p.m., which led to the arrest of the second suspect, aged 19, at the main entrance to the domestic departure hall at 4:15 p.m. Speaking in a press conference yesterday, ACP Zulkifli said 5 packets of Chinese tea with Guan Yin Wang written on it, containing 5.293 kilograms of shabu worth about 200,000 ringgit, were found in the first suspect's luggage, and 6 similar packets containing 6.341 kilograms of shabu worth 240,000 ringgit were found in the baggage of the second suspect, who is a student of a higher learning institution in Sarawak.
Untuk makluman, suspek yang kita tangkap ini mempunyai kaitan di antara satu sama lain, iaitu dalam satu sindiket yang sama. Mereka ni diupah RM600 untuk sekilo. RM600 sekilo mereka diupah. Dan sindiket ini dipercayai berpusat di Sarawak.
ACP Zulkifli said the district police would cooperate with the Selangor Narcotics CID to track down the drug supplier and syndicate. He added that the suspects, who had no criminal records, had been remanded for 7 days from yesterday, and the case is investigated under Section 39B of the Dangerous Drugs Act 1952, which carries the mandatory death penalty if convicted. The Perak Perikatan Nasional, or PN, component parties, Barisan Nasional BN, PAS, and Parti Pribumi Bersatu Malaysia, or Bersatu, will support any individual as a candidate for the Slim State seat by-election next month. Menteri Besar Datuk Seri Ahmad Faizal Azumu, who is also Perak Bersatu chairman, said that all 3 parties had agreed that there should be no clash between them in the by-election and will give full support to anyone selected to represent the PN coalition.
Parti-parti daripada Perikatan Nasional bersatu hati nak pastikan tidak akan berlaku pertumpungan di antara kami di dalam PRK tersebut. Kita akan pilih seorang calon dan semua ketiga parti akan memberi sokongan penuh kepada calon tersebut.
The Slim by-election will be held on the 29th of August following the death of his incumbent, Dato' Muhammad Kusari Abdul Talib 59, on 15th of July. In the 14th of January election, or G14 in 2018, Dato' Muhammad Kusari, who represented Barisan Nasional BN, retained the Slim State seat with a majority of 2,183 votes, defeating Bersatu candidate contesting on PKR ticket Muhammad Amran Ibrahim and PAS candidate Muhammad Zulfadli Zainal. We start off with local sports. The Malaysian Boxing Association, or MBA, is ready to rise to the challenge of the Malaysian Olympic Council, or OCM, to only send athletes who are capable of contributing a gold medal to the 31st SEA Games in Vietnam next year. MBA Deputy President Muhammad Irwan Zulkifli said it was time that national boxers discard their image as jago kampung by proving their capability at a much higher level, such as the Asian and Commonwealth Games, in fact, to continue their struggle to the Olympics. Elaborating further, Muhammad Irwan said MBA endeavoured to rope in a foreign coach and move the training centre to Nilai Negeri Sembilan, which is more sophisticated and modern, next year, in the hope that it could boost the spirit of the boxers to rest for success at a higher level. For the record, 6 boxers were given contracts with the National Sports Council, or NSC, under the Podium Programme, while 5 signed contracts under the Backup Programme, effective 1st of April until the 31st of December. Muhammad Irwan stressed any boxer from the Podium Programme and the backups who were indisciplined and failed to demonstrate a consistent performance and high commitment risk being dropped and replaced with better boxers from the state associations. A footballer from the Kuching FA team has tested positive for COVID-19. According to a statement in the team's official Facebook page released yesterday, the player is also a staff member of the Sentosa Hospital and is classified as part of Sentosa COVID-19 cluster. The statement also said that Kuching FA always emphasised compliance with every standard operating procedure, or SOP, set by the government and the Malaysian Football League MFL in their daily training activities. It also said that, therefore, all training activities are temporarily suspended in accordance with guidelines and instructions from the authorities for the safety of the players and the community. Kuching FA is the runner-up for the M3 League competition in 2018 and is currently playing in the 2020 Premier League competition. And that's it from us this afternoon. In our top story, Goldman Sachs to return $3.9 billion in 1MDB settlement to Malaysia. News at 10 comes on at 10 this evening on the Berita RTM News channel on my Free Views channel 123. I'm Jessica Lee. Thank you for joining us.